Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, depending on where you all are. My name is Ciel Vaughan, and I work with Share Screen Africa, and I will be your host for today's workshop. So I wanted to, first of all, welcome everyone to our second workshop. We had another one yesterday for Shared Spaces and Shared Struggles, Understanding Human-Elephant Conflict. I want to say a very warm welcome to the students at Midland State University in Zimbabwe, who are our primary audience for today's talk. And of course, our wonderful online audience. Thank you so much for joining. I see a lot of familiar faces from yesterday's session joining, so really great to have you all back in. As always, those of you who are joining online, we'd love to know where you're from, what organization you are. So please do feel free to comment in the chat those details. We'd love to understand a bit more about that. So we have a very jam-packed schedule today. Yesterday's workshop was really great. We had some wonderful speakers and some great questions as well coming from our audience, which prompted a really cool discussion. So we're very excited about today, and I'm going to get started. So this is our fantastic lineup of speakers for today. We've got Kudakwashe Chuma, Harmony or Hostility, Rethinking Human-Wildlife Coexistence in Shared Landscapes. He'll be followed by Mr. Donald Nyorota, Elephants, Power and People, Rethinking Conservation Justice. We'll then have Mr. Ewan Brennan, Human-Elephant Conflict, Save the Elephants Approach. And last but not least, Mr. Amos Tinker, Protecting Elephants and Their Habitats Across the Greater Mara Ecosystem. So the way our session will work today is each speaker will have 20 minutes to speak, after which there'll be a Q&A session. So if you do have any questions for our speakers, please feel free to put them in the chat, or when we get to the Q&A session, you're more than welcome to raise your virtual hand and ask the questions yourselves. So we do have a jam-packed schedule, as you can see, so I'm going to move right on through. Before each of our speaker sessions, I will also go through some key learning outcomes to help you focus down on that information. So first of all, I would like to introduce our wonderful first speaker, which is Mr. Kudakwashe. And he is a geography and environmental sciences graduate with passionate environmentalist with wildlife conservation action. And he advocates for peaceful human-wildlife coexistence, and he's going to be sharing his experience mitigating these human-elephant conflicts in Zimbabwe, doing this through community training and bee fence solutions. So thank you, really excited to have you on. I'll just run through our key learning outcomes for this session. So understand key drivers of human-elephant conflict in Zimbabwe, including habitat loss and climate stress. Identify non-lethal mitigation tools like chili deterrence, lion lights, and mobile bomas. Recognize the role of community guardians and local workshops in conflict response. And finally, appreciate the importance of integrating traditional knowledge with modern human-elephant conflict strategies. So Kudakwashe, we're really happy to have you here. Thank you for giving us your time and your expertise to give this talk. Handing over to you.
Thank you so much, and welcome everyone. Thank you so much. My name is Kudakwashe Chuma. The Human Wildlife Conflict Mitigation Project Assistant with Wildlife Conservation Action in Zimbabwe. I have been working with Wildlife Conservation Action since 2021. And my presentation for today is Harmony or Hostility, Rethinking Human-Wildlife Conflict, Human-Wildlife Coexistence in Shared Landscapes. So what it simply means is our interventions that we do as organizations can either create harmony or hostility between the communities and the wildlife species. So this basically shows the areas where we are operating as Wildlife Conservation Action, and we are operating in Chisarira, where we have got a research station in Chisarira National Park, and we are also operating with the communities adjacent to Matusadona National Park in Nyami, and we are also operating in Mbire, close to Manapus National Park. These are our strategic goals. So our goal number one is human-wildlife conflict mitigation. And this goal, we are trying to reduce the costs and increase the benefits that the people and wildlife species should have We are also working with the communities to reduce and prevent the conflicts between people and wildlife. Goal number 2 is climate smart livelihoods. In this goal, we are empowering local communities with knowledge and resources needed mainly to develop sustainable and eco-friendly livelihoods. By doing so, we are trying to reduce poverty as well as pressure on natural resources. Our goal number 3 is research and conservation leadership. In this goal, we are producing comprehensive research that mainly identifies and addressing threats facing wildlife species. And our last goal is environmental education and awareness. In this goal, we try to instill knowledge and develop a sense of appreciation for the environment, nature, and wildlife, particularly for young children who are also the future conservationists. So our mitigation measures are spanning from community guardians, which are also the people whom we employ from the local communities who are also part of the community fabric to help and assist in the implementation of our strategies. So our main strategies that we are implementing in the communities are chili farming and chili deterrences, barbed wire reinforced cross. I'll explain this in details as we go with the slides. Early warning alerts, data collection using smart, awareness and HWC trainings in the communities, chain link waste crows, beekeeping, mobile predator-proof bombers, lion lice, and heading and crawling. The human-elephant conflict challenges in Zimbabwe. So is Zimbabwe is one of the Africa countries that hold the largest population of elephants, but we are facing or we are increasing the human-elephant conflicts due to habitat encroachment and land use changes. If we look at the communities, most of the communities, they are living their odd farms and encroach into protected areas in search for fertile soils as well as good spaces for farming. We are also having challenges from the changes in climate, where we are experiencing drought and water scarcity, driving elephants to human settlements and increasing human-elephant conflicts, mainly due to destruction of crop fields. However, we are noting some insights and some changes at national level where there's a shift from lethal to non-lethal mitigation measures that are being implemented in the communities. And there's also a community-driven models which are nowadays gaining traction where the communities are being involved in conservation issues. So in order to reduce human-wildlife conflicts, as WCA, we are having the community guardians, like I said earlier on. These are the people who are local trained and recruited from the communities where we are operating to lead HWC responses and mitigation strategies implementation. My first picture here shows community guardians who have been employed and capacitated with the motorbike so as they will operate in the communities and respond to human-wildlife conflicts. These community guardians are trained on different aspects of human-wildlife conflicts, spanning from how to chase an elephant when it's destroying a crop field, and also how to chase a lion that have been encroaching into the communities using the vuvuzelas. So one of our interventions is the mobile bombers. These predator-proof movable livestock enclosures where we use and support the communities to protect their livestock against predation. For example, these mobile bombers are installed at household level, and they have got dual benefits. For example, they protect their livestock, and also they are used to improve self-fertility. The communities or the beneficiaries are encouraged to shift their mobile bombers in their crop fields in order to improve self-fertility. And at the same time, they are also effective because they are movable enclosures. They also help to reduce diseases that are also might affect their livestock. If you look at the picture on top here, this picture shows community guardians that are employed in Yami Yami district, and they are assisting the farmer to shift the boma. And if you look closely, there are some accumulation of manure there. And also the below picture shows where the farmer had shifted the boma and where there was no boma in a crop field. And if you look at the crop that are shown on this picture, shows that there is improved in terms of growth, in terms of health, where there was a boma because of improved manure. This also helps not only on improving the soil fertility and reducing the predation levels in yam yam, but they also helps in reducing the shifting cultivation practices that have been also incurred in the communities. Solar powered lights, these are also the lights that we are using to reduce the conflict between communities and wildlife species like lions and hyenas. Usually, predators, they have the tendency of avoiding where there's lights. So these are solar powered lion lights. They have got the flickering lights at the front, and on top there's a solar. So they automatically switch on when there's dark and also switch off when there's light. So these lights are installed surrounding the crows and making sure they are strategically positioned to an extent that there is no gap that are left dark, and we make sure that these lion lights are installed in a space where the lights or the beams of the lights overlap to each other. Chain link raised crows, these are also one of the methods that we are using to reduce the conflict between predators and communities. Chain link raised crows are constructed only to protect small livestock like goats and sheep, and these are the livestock that faces a challenge and also invites predators to roam into the communities and affect their livelihoods. So by doing so, the raised crow have got they've got advantages of using small quantities of poles. Even if we look at those pictures compared to traditional raised crows, the number of poles used here are very few. And also, we make sure the communities should know that these raised crows should have a movable ladder, where when they enclose the livestock inside the raised crow, they should remove the ladder so as to avoid predators using or utilizing that ladder to climb and attack the livestock in a raised crow. Also, we are using the GPS collars where we are collaring wildlife species, not only the elephants, we are also collaring lions. This helps in an early warning system where we receive an alert about the movement of the wildlife species, and also making sure the community guardians who are also on the ground help to protect the communities. And also when the wildlife species that have been collared approach the communities, it send an alert message to the community leaders and also to the organization, and we advise the community guardians to go towards where the species, the wildlife species is, and also chase it away from attacking or destroying crop fields. Here's a picture of me with the interns, student interns who are also being equipped and empowered to use the telemetry to track wildlife species. On this day, we were tracking an elephant that you have been not transmitting. So this is one of the methods that we use to protect the farms and also reduce the conflict with the communities. The elephants and the lions are tracked on their movement, and if they approach the communities, it will then send an alert message to help us go and chase it away from destroying or affecting the community livelihoods. Chili deterrents are also one of the methods that we are incorporating to reduce the human-elephant conflict in all the districts where we are operating. Here we have got a training that we did at the community level where we help the communities on how to mold the chili bricks and also on how to ban the chili bricks. These chilies, sometimes the communities may think is not effective because of the way they used it, but through these trainings, it have been resulted to a better results where the communities have been trained to use the chili and how to ban it, where to ban it, and what time to ban it. So these chili bricks are bent at crop fields, but not within the crop field, but they are supposed to be bent maybe 100 meters away from the crop field so that it will send a smell that deter elephants from approaching the crop fields. There's a picture in between where we see the trainees holding a chili gun. This is one of the method that we are using also to chase elephants from crop fields. This is a chili gun. We have got the chili balls where we use and insert in that pipe. And in this pipe here, in this pipe, we fire the balls of chili to where the elephants are, and it effectively helps to deter elephants from approaching the crop fields. And the last picture here shows a deterrence that have been installed at one of the farmers. This is a chili string that we also installed at one of the farmers' crop field. These chili strings are installed mainly 100 meters away from where the farmer ended the crop field. And they are not supposed to be close to the farm because as soon as you put those chili strings close to the farm, when the elephants come and approaches those areas or those farms, they will break it because they will be seeing food. Or beekeeping is also one of the methods that we are using to help mitigate the conflict. So here the picture shows a training that we have been done in one of the communities to empower the communities, and also here is a beehive that have been installed in the communities to help prevent the conflict. And these are the livestock and crop management workshops that we did in the communities where we educate the communities on wildlife behavior and conservation. Such that the communities may understand the drivers, types, and how to report the conflicts. And also we did human-wildlife conflict mitigation workshops, which are also empowering the communities on how to mitigate the conflict between people and wildlife. So here are other methods that are also used or implemented in some areas. For example, solar electric fences, biofences, buffer zones, night cutting, and fire lighting. They are effective if implemented well, as done in other areas. So this is basically a smart map that shows how the community guardians operate in the communities where we are operating, and also how they are covering the wars which we are operating to help the communities reduce the conflict. In conclusion, I see I'm running out of time. In conclusion, and some key messages that I think may help us as conservation organizations. One, human-wildlife conflict is a conservation and development challenge. As human population grow and communities expand into wildlife habitats, uh, conflicts over space, resources, and safety increases, which results to loss of livestock, crops, and sometimes threatens livelihoods and putting pressure on wildlife species. So it is vital to address this not only biodiversity conservation, but also for sustainable rural development and poverty reduction. Zimbabwe has community-centered solutions that work. So sometimes community conservation models are needed so that we increase benefit for those living alongside protected areas. Collaboration is also one of the key method that we need also to incorporate because tackling HWC or human wildlife conflict requires more sectoral and an integrated approach. Strengthen co-management. We need also to establish co-management committees at local levels where communities representative have a clear, maybe influential voice that help build trust, accountability, and sometimes provide a shared responsibility. We need also to align local knowledge with their national strategy. IKS or indigenous knowledge systems related to wildlife behavior, migration patterns, and conflict mitigation are also essential in order to help mitigate the human-wildlife conflicts. Funding for Human Wildlife Conflict Relief Fund is, I understand that Zimbabwe have been in the process of implementing Human Wildlife Conflict Relief Fund. The establishment of this will help to support victims, cover losses, and finance that mainly can support measures such as the use of mobile bombers, raised crows, and other interventions that also helps the communities. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Kudakwashe. That was really, really fascinating. I especially loved learning about how the community-centered projects are actually working. I think it's a great example for the rest of Africa. So thank you for sharing that with us. Do we have any questions at this point? Feel free to put your questions in the chat, or you can raise your virtual hand as well. Okay, we have a question here from Jeff Ochieng. Jeff, would you like to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Okay, thank you very much. I joined a bit late, sorry for that, but it's a good presentation from Mr. Chuma. And I would like to understand the effectiveness of lion lamps and chili deterrent. Now, because we know that elephants are very clever. I would like to know how effective the chili deterrent is, and also how the effectiveness of lion lamps as measures to reduce human-wildlife conflict. The others are okay, like the raised kraal are fantastic, and GPS tracking, fantastic, but I just have a question on the effectiveness of chili deterrent and lion lamps, if you can mention something on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the question. So I'll start with the line lights. The line lights, since we started using them in all the wards where we are operating, in Yami Yami, it has been shown that they are very effective because since 2021, we never recorded any incident that took place where at a crow where there was lion lice. And also sometimes the communities themselves, they testify that we heard some sounds of lions and hyenas close to the crow, but they didn't come and attack the livestock that have been enclosed in that crow where we installed lion lice. And also for the chili, mostly the communities usually they say it's not effective, but the problem is on how they install the chili deterrents or on how they burn the chili bricks. Sometimes when you burn the chili bricks whilst the elephants are in the crop field, it will not work. So they are effective only when you properly burn them and when you properly set up a chili deterrence such as the chili strings far away from the crop field, and also burn those chili bricks far away from the crop fields. And also when the elephants are not in the crop fields. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you for that question, Jeff. That was really interesting. Okay, we have a question here in the chat from Ashra Shareni. Thank you very much for the presentation. I'm curious to know, how have the communities responded to your human-elephant conflict mitigation interventions? Have you gathered any qualitative or quantitative data on community acceptance and perceptions?
Thank you so much for the questions. Definitely, we have got the quantitative data with those interventions helping the communities reducing the conflict between humans and elephants. For example, we have got 80 farmers who are using the beekeeping to reduce the conflict between human and elephants. And these farmers, they never had a challenge with the elephants attacking or destroying their crop fields. And also for the chili, we have got farmers who also in this previous season utilized the use of chili deterrents and successfully managed to yield greater yield without having a challenge from elephants attacking their crops.
Great. Thank you so much. As I was saying, thank you so much, Kudakwashe. We really, really enjoyed having you on. I'm hoping that you'll be able to stay around till the end of the session in case there are any other questions that need to be answered. And Kudakwashe, you're more than welcome to answer some questions in the chat as well if you'd like to do that. But for now, we are going to move on to our second speaker of the day.